Fellow citizens, the People's Court is now in session. Fellow citizens in the forum in the court this morning are Barrister
Bonnie Amalu. Good
and
morning.
Chukwudi Chizoba.
I am Musa Oge Ogbon.
distinguished citizens. The season we are in this time of the year calls for better understanding of our position in national polity. The topic in the People's Court for conversation this morning, because we have no pending cases, is why is there in Nigeria a culture of lack of consultation of the people by politicians on how their government is run and what projects needed by the people. You must remember that secrecy is the enemy of democracy, yet we say, and the constitution in Nigeria has donated sovereignty to the people. Fellow citizens, the greatest part of our democratic experiment is for us to understand our responsibilities as citizens. No change will come except we decide to bring the change. We are all instruments in the link for this change. In the People's Court this morning, distinguished citizens, there is a lot of politicking going on in your neighborhood. Either it is for the members that will represent you in the various stages of our parliament, or the senators, or the governor, and more particularly the presidency is up for take. Fellow citizens, we cannot allow the politicians or those who are seeking public office to dictate what our needs are. It is our responsibility. No politician will put up a poster telling you that his government is for integrity and accountability and now put up a smiling face and he feels he has fulfilled all the requirements to be elected into that office. We must set up an agenda that will give them the critical intellectual heat to do more work than just putting up a smiling face in beautiful suit or good skirts and smiling and telling us that we are now poised to come and represent you. Fellow citizens, it is critical that under our constitutional democracy, sovereignty, our power belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government through the constitution of Nigeria derives all powers and authority. You can see that captured in our living law, which is our constitution, in section 14, sub 2, sub A of our constitution as amended. Distinguished citizens, it is important that the needs or what that is uppermost in our mind will be the issue on the public agenda. In this conversation, we shall examine the reasons for the regime of lack of citizen participation in making of party manifestos of the various political parties. The reason why our elected president, governors set their transformation agenda as so-called outside their party election manifesto, and without, as a precondition, seeking approval from the people before embarking on these projects. It is important that by the provisions of the Constitution that the platform upon which any elected representative is seeking public office is predicated on his party platform. Then the issue is, how are these manifestos written before you now present it to us, for us to use it as a basis to justify why we should vote for you in office? Why is it that our parliamentarians operate as freelance legislators without identifying their respective community, economic, social, and political interests in the first place, as a background spirit of their parliamentary advocacy and debates. Fellow citizens, there is urgent need to activate our community town hall political action committees in every village, in every town, for capacity building and development of civil society networks towards educating the people on the citizens' rights, your choices, and how to protect your interests against bad governance or poor representation in parliament. Fellow citizens, democracy has an intellectual dimension which is responsible for agenda setting in every democracy that is working. The reason for lack of consultation of the people on how their government is run and what projects to promote is squarely on our weak political infrastructure. The political parties erroneously think that the duties of the political parties begin and end with selection of candidates during election and in organizing campaign, rallies, and dance groups, and they fizzle out till the next election. We must give them heed to know that they have the critical duty to engender issues in the community, because there are peculiarities of needs in the communities. These are the needs that those who want to serve us will tell us that this is what I will take to Abuja, I will take to the various state capitals to make sure that we deliver on these promises by our party. Fellow citizens, another issue I will want to touch on before the forum is now open for the participants in this court and yourself, the jury, to participate in is an issue that is pertinent to our democratic experiment. Why is it that people we elected into offices have the belief that citizens cannot be trusted with information about their government? Immediately somebody gets into office, he feels that he has a better prerogative than the man who he has gone to represent. Our members of the various parliaments do not hold town hall meetings to tell us about issues that are now in the debate in the assemblies, and that is their responsibility. That is why the people do not know what is going on in government. It is their responsibility that any issue, be it executive bill or private bill, must be taken to their constituency in a town hall forum to educate the people. The people who are representing us are ignorant of how to get the job done, and that is why the people are losing interest. There's this fatigue in our democratic process. Fellow citizens, on this point, I want to use the opportunity to invite the members of the court this morning so that we can begin to give life to the discussions. And before I do that, I invite a young person who have joined us in this conversation. Introduce yourself, because you're late in the program.
Well, I have to apologize first of all for coming late. And my name is George Onwara. My friends call me after all.
It's my pleasure. George is one of those young people that have now taken up the mantle to prepare themselves and his generation for leadership. Barrister Malo, I will stop at this juncture so that you can make your contribution before I call in the rest of the panelists.
Thank you very much, the forum advocate. And once again, I say good morning to our listeners. Lack of consultation by our political leaders, be it at the executive level, legislature, or judiciary, is a phenomenon that is not strictly restricted to political arena. It goes beyond that. We also see lack of consultation in business decision, in how firms allocate resources, in how they combine resources. We also see it in other forms of our national life, be it in the community level, town union politics, and all whatnot. So lack of consultation is a factor that I may say is responsible for our not developing the democracy and deepening the democracy as it should be. As you rightly pointed out, the forum advocate, power belongs to the people. If we see the people as the ultimate custodian of the sovereignty of the nation, the implication is that the people should be involved in satisfying their expectation in terms of what they need. With the 36 states of the Federation, certainly the needs of state in the far north, say northeast or northwest, might not necessarily be the need of people in southeast, south-south, or north central. Given the geographical disparity, given the level of development, given the level of education of different segments of Nigerian population, I would tend to believe that if we are to satisfy the aspiration, expectations of the people, given the mandate, given the politician, given the articulation of their program in their manifestos, the implication is that the people will be adequately consulted so that those provisions in the manifesto will have a practical translation in terms of projects that touches the welfare of the people. Can I stop here so far so that people,
Okay.
so others may have their initial input?
Zaba, you are next now to make contribution on this issue.
Thank you. I want to come in from where you say that the political parties that they believe that their work starts and ends during selection of candidates and during rallies. Then me, I will now bring it further to during maybe court processes if they are taken to court. But the question that is really agitating my mind is because if the leaders, as in the people that are leading these political parties, if really they have people that are leading them or the selected people that are leading them, if they are really the best brains in those parties, things will really work better and they will move more uniformly and have a better work, and the manifesto of the governors or the candidates coming out for election will really be what the political parties really want. But most times or all the time, the the political parties don't really have what they want. Is the person that is contesting, whatever the person says is what the political parties goes with, and everybody moves out with the what they say, the oh yes members, or let's go and move on like that, which is really making the everything move down, and nothing is really happening. Let me stop here.
From what I can see, so Mr. Honora, you now make your own input before I call on the next panelist, and then the forum advocate will.
Yesterday night I saw a picture. A politician was campaigning. He was on the podium, a platform, and the people were under him. And something struck my mind really. Now, if these people were not there, will this politician be on that platform? Now, it calls to mind the function of the people. The people are the bedrock, the foundation of everything. And of course, if the people were not there, the politicians themselves will not be there. And if the politicians understand that the people are the ones who give them the mandate to go and represent them, then definitely they will have to come back to the people every once in a while and say, okay, my people, the message you have sent me to go and do for you, this is what they said is the outcome now. So what next should we do? Then you take the feedback of the people and go back to the House. If you're in the Senate, if you're the governor, you go back and implement what the people demand.
So we don't see them.
We don't.
Okay. So none of them is qualified for re-election.
Yes, they are not really, because most of the time you tend to see a lot of times. I think for me, what I think is the cause is the process through which they emerge. You see, these people a lot of times are, they are selected instead of being elected. And so they don't feel they owe the people anything. Probably they owe their allegiances to their godfathers and godmothers who puts them in power. And so, of course, it is to those who you owe allegiance that you always report to. And it's unfortunate, really.
Osaho, you now have the floor, sir.
Okay, I'm going to take a cue from what he started with talking about representing the people. And my own problem is the fact that our politicians do not understand their roles as leaders. Whether they don't understand or they don't appreciate or they are not bothered about their roles as leaders. They don't want to bother themselves about knowing what it means to go and represent the people. Their political appointments, their positions of power are not there to go and represent the people. They are there because they have been chosen by this person or by this godfather, and I am the one winning for this this year. At the end of this tenure somebody else is going to take, or maybe I can try and take a second tenure. So that is their understanding, not necessarily to go and represent the people, not because they have been in the urban and rural areas and they have seen what people are going through and this is where they would like to make changes. There are a lot of people who come from outside the country, who have lived outside the country for so long. They come into Nigeria and they come with a lot of money, they have some support, they are given political appointments, and that is where they take their own lead from. Okay. And also one thing I would point out is that as Nigerians, we lack so many things. You can't just start to imagine where to start from. We lack good health care. We lack pipe-borne water. This is a country. I played something this morning. A very radical pastor. I don't know if you listened to it.
Indeed.
Pastor David Martin.
I did.
And he stressed on how much the black man. All right. I don't want to go away from our topic, but how much the black man lacks the mentality to lead. We are not leaders. That is his point. That the black man can't be helped. There's a lot of them. There are a lot of them. Others. That he talks about, but they're just too radical for the show. But that is his point. We lack healthcare. We lack pipe-borne water. We lack electricity. We lack security. We lack good roads. We lack almost 90% of the things that we should have as citizens. The only thing that we have is life. And our jobs and our businesses that we are doing. So there's so many things. And when you go there, where do you start from as a politician when you're not even bothered about changing, the road that you drove down on, to get to the government house, to get to the House of Assembly is bad. You're not bothered about it. He's not exactly. So
I want you to look at this scenario. Why is it that the members of the state parliaments are under the choking control of the governors? Because those representatives have never thought it wise that they will be consulting the people they represented. They became their own sole agent.
Exactly.
So it is critical that we must re-examine this representation very well. So, and that is something that I want us in this panel, because people who are listening will know that if the representatives are doing their job, the governors cannot control them. But they are there working for themselves. And that is why we keep saying the governors are in control. The governors cannot be in control. Because it is the people that every bill that comes up to the parliament, they must take it to their constituency and hold a town hall meeting. None of them does that.
Yes, the forum advocate, you made the point there. You hit the nail, a square peg in a square hole. Certainly, in your intro, you equally avert to it about intellectual dimensions of democracy. How many of us can stand up today and quote quotable quote from contribution and debate in the National Assembly or the State Assembly or the local councillors in their third-tier deliberative assembly? I can still recall vividly some of the legislators in the First Republic, Second Republic, and you go home with some of the quotable quotes from them in their contribution in the parliament. It is not so today. So when you talk of town hall meeting, it is when you have a clear-cut agenda on the needs of the people that you will now go back to town hall to deliberate with them and get further inputs on what really they needed to be articulated at governmental level in terms of projects that will elevate their social standard, in terms of projects that will reflect on the classified population of the country. Is the population on the aging side? Is the youthful side as it is today? What are the programs that are being articulated in the parliament so that the youthful unemployed will get effectively employed?
I want to put a question to you.
Yes.
There's something that has been bothering my mind. Because when I look at our politicians and even the governors, I feel that there is a sense of urgency that these people have never prepared themselves for leadership. There is a very serious issue that has been bothering me for more than 20 years now.
What's the issue?
The issue is the issue of the Cooperative Bank of Eastern Nigeria.
Dead and buried.
It cannot die. It was a cooperative investment. It was a project of the cooperators. We should find a way to find out why that bank died. It could not die.
Yes.
And they are still going around telling people to go and form cooperatives.
The Cooperative Bank of Eastern Nigeria died because of, if I may hazard an answer, the bad debt owned by contractors who loan money from the bank. And when the banking reform of the 80s started, it could not survive the new capital base for functioning of banks. And mark you, the then central bank governor, Oguma, is an Igbo man. And critics of his administration would say then, how can he sit at the Apex Bank, CBN, and see the Cooperative Bank of Eastern Nigeria go down the drain and permanent distress?
But the governors of the state
I'm coming.
went in and took over cooperators project and killed the bank.
I'm coming.
And now they are selling their assets all over the place.
I'm coming. You will equally relate it to the kind of integration of economic projects in the south by the former government of the eastern region, excluding those in south, that Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River. What are those projects that Opara and Azikiwe started that is still functioning today? We can see some of the ones started in the north by Ahmadu Bello that is still functioning. We can see some of them in the southwest that is still functioning today.
All
in
this
fact,
touches on poor representation.
poor representation and lack of commitment by our political and business leaders. I don't see why CCB should go down the drain. And even the African Continental Bank is going by a new name. Can you say that African Continental Bank, that if I remember the motion of Azikiwe on why African Continental Bank should be established at that time, he was snubbed by, so is that standard back then when he was seeking for a loan? He said, how can an Africa be fully liberated if there's no financial institution that will give consideration to the yearning and aspiration of African entrepreneurs? So ACB was established. But today, can you say that what represents...
They sold their properties.
Fine. The implication is
And
that...
I wonder who are the people who sold it and who are buying it. These are issues that need to be ventilated in court of law. And I want our politicians who are running for office to look into this. These are things that are bothering the people.
Is it in the agenda? Have
don't
they gone
understand
down
it.
the research to know the
it's not.
basis of... It's not in the
Definitely
agenda.
not in the agenda.
As of now, I cannot see anything among those parading in the political arena that convinces me of issues they are raising as issues that be voted for against in
It's only
2015.
the banks that are in the east that died. The cooperative banks are functioning in the west.
That's the point I was
And
making.
they want to go to the Senate. They have been in the Senate. They don't even know what the issues are.
That's the point I am making. The Bank of the North is today the Unity Bank. The other day they were at the stock exchange, and the executive, the managing director and chief executive had to perform a function there. So if our institutions established by Opara and Azikiwe is allowed to die, then we don't have the economic base of development. Because development must be related political, and the economy is to have a stable political economy.
I think on this point, we may expand the panel and call in the jury, and then we move on.
Okay. Okay,
ask a
Mr.
question?
Honora, go ahead.
You see, we're talking about cooperative banks, and a question just struck my mind. How can we have cooperative banks when the people do not cooperate?
Yes, it's a project that is owned by cooperators. There is no way a cooperative movement can become defunct because they are the cooperators. If you call them, they can either increase their shares and get in. But there is something fundamentally wrong. Why I'm saying this thing is that our political representatives, both in the federal houses, don't even know what the issues are. They go and think that is to promote Jonathan's agenda. The agenda is agenda of the people. Why is it that we have not been able to revive our own economies here? All the industries are dead.
All. And of course,
dead.
all.
Even though they are not yet buried. And they are splitting, selling the lands and then building housing estates. So, fellow citizens, I can understand the reason why the elites have abandoned their civic duty and rights to vote in election. This is because Nigeria hardly knows what the issues are in each tranche of our election, or where the political parties stand on any policy and action of the various tiers of government. Under our constitution, it is the political party that sponsors candidates. But when it comes to governance, it is the governors and the president that tell you about their agenda. And we need to reconcile these two issues, that the agenda ought to be the manifesto of the party. And then how does the manifesto of the party evolve? It is natural that political parties can only present their manifesto at the state congress or after their national convention. This will enable them to have properly harmonized all the various interests in their platform before embarking on an electioneering campaign. Rather erroneously, Nigerian political parties bring out manifesto full of personal agenda of their promoters, which are never debated, with the mistaken belief that it does not matter. They think that political parties are a common vehicle, where you win an election, you can disembark and join another party. It is not proper. It doesn't show that they even understand why they are in politics. The general landscape of the social governance in Nigeria is dysfunctional because the people have lost their own responsibility to be part of the government, to find out why democracy is lethargically in Nigeria sleeping, is that we don't know what we want from government. If the Nigerian legislature has been vibrant and working, we will get democracy working in Nigeria. All the members of the two tiers of the assembly we have forgotten their job. Their job is not only just oversight function and making laws, but they have disconnected the legislature from the people, and they became free agents working for themselves. Let every Nigeria be mindful of this fact. Let nobody tell you that if we want a constitutional amendment, that the National Assembly will not support it. Let nobody tell you that the governors will not support the independence of local government. It is us that will tell the members that represent us how to vote, not the governor, not the president. It is our power that they are working for. And if they decide to work for themselves, we will remove them from that office and hold press conferences against them, that the voting they have cast in that assembly is not on our behalf. We need to disgrace these people, because at my stage and station in life, there is nothing else more left for me. If I cannot use the remaining part of my life now to improve myself, I will damn anybody that I will use everything in my life to stake that life and lose that life. We have a responsibility to live well and comfortably in this country. There is no reason why we should be poor. This morning, somebody was sending me a text message that he cannot find school fees for his students. I said, send it to the governor, send it to the member of the house representing you. Don't send it to me. They have a responsibility to plan for the children of their communities. Fellow citizens, this court will rise.